I probably sing not quite as well as Joe Cocker, so. So today we'll go ahead here and we're going to talk about a few objectives today. And some of the objectives are understanding the purpose of the Family Assistance Center, understanding the functional services of a Family Assistance Center, and also understanding UTA's emergency operations processes. And then there's a fourth one that we didn't put down, but we also want you to be able to sing Wheels on the Bus Go Round and Round with the three-part by the end of this presentation. So a little bit about UTA background. It was formed in 1970 through state legislation. We started with 67 buses in Salt Lake County, and we embraced its light rail, which has about 140 vehicles, and 600 buses. That also includes our paratransit service, and 75 inter-rail cars, locomotives. And we also operate in 6 counties, from Payson to Brigham City, and we're one of the largest geographical service areas of any transit agency in the United States. The other thing that's unique about UTA is we also operate our own rail vehicles. Typically what happens in other agencies is they contract out. And so we have a lot of opportunities for our people. We have about 2,000 employees. So the UTA Emergency Operations Command Structure is set up, as you see here, for coordinating and supporting large-scale events. It's kind of a hybrid, organized under functions, and scalable, adjustable. We have a EOC director, and we also have the operations section chiefs, planning chiefs, logistic chiefs, and finance section chiefs. One thing we have improved in terms of utilizing resources at UTA, how many here are UTA riders? Okay, how many here are train riders? Okay, good. We have about now, when I started, we had 0 cameras. As of today, we have 3,000 cameras in the system. So that includes cameras at platforms, grade crossings, on trains, inside trains. It helps us a lot in being able to respond, assess, and also do accident investigation as well. So in order for us to activate our EOC, we have 3 threshold levels where we would go to activation, which starts at level 3. The level 1 and 2 are, well, level 1 is routine. These might just be the type of downtown instance we have with the track trains where we might just have a bump and go. And that's the least invasive for us. Level 2 is where we might have, it's the most utilized probably for us, especially with rail. And then I'll explain the command structure that we utilize for this level 2, which is irrespective of our EOC in just a second. And an example of level 3 is, I don't know if you paid attention to the news, but two Mondays ago we had an individual that had a head-on collision with one of our track trains on North Temple, 600 West, derailed the train. The train got involved in one of the our catenary system, which is our electrical system, went over the end of the bridge and hung over the end of the bridge. There's nothing like a picture of a smashed train hanging over a bridge to capture people's attention, especially nationally. So that's where we actually did a partial activation on level 3. And then, as you can see, level 4 and 5, those are more invasive type incidents where we would have a scale activation or EOC. Level 4 being possibly active shooter, power outage, major accident, multiple fatalities. Level 5, something, again, major earthquake, terrorist event with a system-wide disruption. And a lot of these are based on the amount of time that we're out of action. So that example the 2 Mondays ago, it took us out of action the entire, from midday to the end of service that day. The line was shut down completely from the airport. We were able to get up the very next morning, so it took a lot of resources to get that going. So this is the command structure that we use primarily for rail. So there's a huge difference when we have incidents with rail and buses. When we have a rail incident, we compromise the entire system out there. staff that's in our control, but if trains aren't moving, we have a real problem. So the thing is too that rail is a completely different animal from the bus. There's large amounts of passengers involved. There's, for commuter rail especially, there's accessibility difficulties. The speeds and the weight of these trains tend to create more intense type of serious incidents. The investigations are different. And so what we do is we set up 3 distinct functions to get us to recover from the train incident. And they're separate, but the communication is from the leaders of each incident. They can communicate, but people within those functions can communicate with themselves. So the incident needs to be controlled under incident command, and the system needs to be controlled by train controllers to get trains to be able to move. And then the bus bridge, which is the most important part for passengers, we need to be able to get passengers to move through where the blockage is, or around the blockage.
So, as Mark was talking about, we reached our EOC with the different thresholds to help identify, it relates with our service and resources in that getting. So, this EOC, this is what level 3 may look like, and this is what we were at last week. And we had that factory there. So, level 3, some of our command staff, and all of our command staff will be activated, some of our command staff. And then our operations section chief is one that will interface directly with that service recovery coordinator, so we call it. It's more service sustainment, where we're trying to keep our operations going and working around that. And so they'll directly interface with them on that. And then level 4 is all of our command and general staff functions are activated. Operations section chief will pick which functions and operations to activate most effective those specific resources. And we'll always have that service recovery group leader, bus bridging is a huge thing. And then level 5, we're fully operational with all of our functions against staff.
So if there's a medium incident out there, this is kind of profiling where our institute command will come in and how we structure fitting into unified command. So all of our operations supervisors and transit police are trained in this incident unified command. We have a police officer, our own police officer, who's the UTA IC, and then we have a rail operations chief who reports to him, who's typically a subject matter expert in terms of being able to restore service, those types of things. And so our UTA IC will then insert a unified command. We might have the potential of large distance between where the train actually ended up and the incident. It could be as much as the computer rail, as much as half a mile. So it's important to have those lines of communication and to be able to give responders information they need quickly. And I also mentioned too that as far as our responders go, we do have a program where we do, under UTA Fire Life Safety and Security Committee, we have a vehicle familiarization program. So many responders along the Wasatch Front have been given familiarization training on both our front and our tracks trains as well. So large incident, again, this just goes to show that the large incident functions grow exponentially. UTA would then also interface with the county and the state USC as well as we scale up.
So I began this project with Family Assistance Center 2 years ago, and Commuter Transit, been there 3 years now, and going through all the different regulations because it's completely different acronyms, regulating agencies, and I came across Family Assistance Center through the Federal Road Safety Act, and it was really complicated legislation, so I wasn't sure if it would apply to UTA. So I reached out to NTSB and started a conversation, and while we're not governed by that, it was something that we moved forward with. So we spent the last 2 years working on this plan and developing it, because UTA wants to take care of not only our passengers, but in the event of a large incident, the family of those passengers as well. So FACT, Family Assistance Center, would be established in a large facility, which would be chosen at the time of the event based on incident location. We provide resources and services in a safe and secure location, and those would be evaluated again based on the event putting in place some factual information straight from the source. So those involved in the response as well as UTA would be there to provide information. So this is the legislation that guides this. So the Federal Rail Safety Improvements Act of 2008 came out. There are sections in there that specifically say what the federal agencies are required to do and their role and responsibility, as well as the transit carrier. And again, even though we aren't governed by this, we comply with mostly what's in there. So those rail passenger carriers that are governed by this are the large ones like Amtrak, Washington Metro Area Transit Agency, DC. The reception center is another option we can do. Basically, it's a scaled-back version of a family assistance center. It's established quicker, shorter duration. It keeps families away from the incident site, but it's still a safe and secure location for factual information. So, why did UTA have a family assistance center time? Besides that it's highly encouraged, we don't want to be responding during an incident trying to figure out what we're supposed to be doing in the event. That's happened with other transit agencies. Amtrak had 2 incidents where they had 47 fatalities and 11. UEMA, same thing, 9, and then Metro North. They're not required to have a plan. They had 4 fatalities, and all of them were scrambling during these incidents, trying to figure out what to do, how do we take care of families, what do we communicate. So we want to be proactive versus reactive, and that's why we push forward with this. So what does the back actually do for UTA? We bring agencies, resources, and services together under one roof. We want to make it easy for families to get what they need, avoid duplication of efforts, and most importantly, again, is providing that information to families privately before it goes to media. So, family reception center, if UTA were to experience a large event, but it doesn't meet the thresholds for opening family assistance center, we still want to be able to provide for families. Most of our ridership is local, and it could be overwhelmed with families and people calling customer service to try to get information. So, again, we want to keep the family away from the affected area as much as we can. The downside is because we're such an open system, even with the tap-on, tap-off passes, that does not correlate with the individual, so we can never produce that faster than us. So we never know who's carrying. So, if we were to open back, we have thresholds that we've established. A large number of injuries, 4 or more deaths, extensive and multiple operational periods, or a large involvement of the medical examiner on this. Any of those criteria are met with the family assistance center. Again, with our providers being local, and they say, the statistic I was given is 9 people for every 1 passenger. So we have a lot of people. And again, we want to be out in front to help the families of our passengers until that incident is completely resolved. So the similarities between a FAC and an FRC, a lot of agencies use these interchangeably, but for us, basically they're both the same and secure location. That factual information for the responders and those involved. We provide psychological first aid, spiritual care, food, and restrooms will be the basic services provided at home. So to open a family assistance center is quite a process. Once those thresholds, we met one of them, and it's deemed we're going to open that. That comes from our chief operating officer or our chief safety and security officer. We would decide what services would be provided based on the incident and the needs of the families. A call center would be activated, both for providing public information as well as to collect missing persons information. Stakeholders and partners would be notified of activating, we can't do it alone. And federal agencies would also be notified. They're notified during any accident, but they'd be notified again. So once all the agencies that are going to participate and there are partners in this would arrive, first thing we do is provide common operating picture, trying to identify what it is we're going to be needing and what are we going to do with the families. We've established a command structure But the average, from what NTSD has told me, is 1 to 7 days for family assistance for bail. These are a list of some of the services that we may provide. Again, it's based on the instant needs. Registration is always there. Family hosts, the family briefings are always part of it. The mental health and psychological first aid. And then the food, those kind of things are always being provided. The communication services, it would be an area where we have access to internet, media, if we want to watch that, telephones, so we would operate in unified command. The Family Assistance Center Director is the UTA representative, then the medical examiner, and then any federal agencies that showed up, so NTSD, Federal Transit Administration, Federal Road Administration, as well as our state safety oversight persons that you have. And then any jurisdiction that we're going to occur in the city, or county emergency manager. So this is our command structure diagram out. Obviously, operations and there's no finance officer. It is decided in the grant of our UC. So whatever you should read that. So this is the operations section. And I'll break it down a bit for it. The victim information branch is basically our medical examiner group and family information. So along with the call center, the OME group is established with family information. This is where communication happens with an actor. And then we have our support services with the child care, which we tested last year. And some people that do animal interviews and things like that have a place to take their children so they don't have to have them there with them. Translation services for those that are non-English speaking. Claims group that comes out of UTA. And then we have our health services, so a medical group, basic first aid similar to what you would have in a vet law shelter, not any different than that. Behavioral health, psychological first aid, spiritual care group, for our non-denominational ecclesiastical leaders, provide that in there. And then our reception branch, where we register all families. There's a family host group. These people are the ones that give the family information package, show them around the facility, tell them about the services, and they're go-to for questions. And we have an answer they can direct them to the right people. And then spontaneous volunteer management, that's simply encouraging those to register with their local organizations because we won't use them otherwise. Here's our logistics. Very scaled back. A lot of this is handled again for our EOC. And so it's a pretty simple one. This is the coordination that will be going on with all the different agencies. So we have our EOC, even though it's a coordination because we don't manage the incident, we support the incident with our EOC. The county, if it was open, the Family Assistance Center Command, and then a gym would establish a gym as well. So the National Transportation Safety Board, their role is they have 4 divisions housed within their response, and the 2 that apply to us, there's a railroad division, and they may or may not investigate the accident, depends on what else is going on in the resources. If they did come to participate in the Family Assistance Center, they would serve in an advisory committee as a subject matter expert, which is easily done. They participated in a lot of them. They may participate in the family briefings, and then if we were to use federal resources, they help with the coordination and direction of that. So this is a very resource-intensive, operation. It takes a lot of agencies, people, and resources to operate this. And just to give you perspective, if we were to have a large incident on our trains and we were in high commute hours, our front runner capacity is approximately 455 people, backs is 600, and then if you take the 9-1, every one of those riders, it can be very large. And then we have people at the incident response team, or at the incident site, our EOC, Family Assistance Center, so it takes a lot of people and resources to make that happen. We've done a lot of partnershiping and reaching out to those because we can do it. The federal agencies that we work with are the FBI Victim Services. We work with them, they participate in every year. Of course, the NTSB, we help facilitate our plan of getting that going. And then the Federal Transit Administration, as well as the Federal Railroad Administration, because we're regulated by them. And then our state and local agencies, of course, UTA has personnel in there, but very minimal. We worked with the State Office of Medical Examiner. We had Dr. Rick participate 1 year, and then the following year was represented. County and local emergency managers, the state and county health departments. We've never reached out to state human services, but we have it as an option on there. law enforcement, and of course our hospitals. And then our volunteer agencies, because we can't do without them. So we really bless our work with Medical Reserve Corps and Red Cross, but we do have a lot of them.
So we have yearly full-scale exercises in the rail division, both on tracks and on front runner. And we set up these exercises thanks to Amy under the Homeland Security Exercise Evaluation Program format. And we're always looking for opportunities to improve and work with our partners out there, respondent partners. And this particular scenario on this video, so this took place spring of 14. It was a terrorist bombing on a train as it arrives at the Murray Station, which a lot of you know is also shared or co-joined a little bit the tracks. And we had mass casualties, and the FAC was activated concurrently at the IHC hospital, which was right next to the incident. The last thing was before you need a license to fly your own.
So Murray was our first exercise that we conducted doing this. We did both the front runner and the family assistance center on the same day, never again. And this is what went well, so this was new. But on scene and in the family assistance center, the unified command went very well. We had the agencies working together and communicating. The agencies we had participating to support the families in the family assistance center, we were able to meet all the needs that we identified and the functions we exercised. And then it was able to validate several components of the plan. There was a lot of rewriting and updating afterwards, but several of the components that we have were validated. So there was a lot of improvement out of this too, again, because it was our first time doing this. And just because it's written down doesn't mean it's going to work. So with the plan, because we operate commuter rail in 4 different counties with different jurisdictions within each of those counties, and the different organizations that we use in each of those counties, creating the plan is a little bit more challenging. So each time. But we've had reunification process. We tried to test that. It did not work with this exercise. And the loss of the ambulance. So one of our planning committee members was from the FBI, and he decided to do this all on our own. We had a perpetrator. The scenario was one of them was killed in a blast, and then the other one evacuated with the other individuals. So they arrested him, and then they put him back in play, and he was injured, so they decided he needed to be transported, and he took the ambulance hostage, and they couldn't account for it for 45 minutes. Nobody knew that was coming or part of the exercise, but it was a good piece in there because they did this communication with him for 45 minutes. And then the volunteer agencies, because we had more than one volunteer agency participating and lack of training, there was some conflict and confusion with roles and responsibilities. So. Our second exercise, we did this in Davis County, and we did it 2 separate days. We did front runner on Sunday and the Family Assistance Center on Monday. And again, terrorist scenario. So this, again, was our second exercise, and we had a lot more strikes because we were able to fix some of our gaps from the prior exercise. Unified command with UTA went really well. As Martin mentioned, our ICS training, so our police get the regular ICS training. Our rail supervisors, we took all the ICS courses and condensed them down to a very simplified version, just so they get the basic highlights, and then had a lot of slides specific to their role, what they're supposed to be doing at the scene. And the supervisor that day was able to fit right into incident command, and it was one of our better times, and since then it's improved. So evacuating in the right of way, never done that, and that's it's a minimum 4-foot drop down from the train onto the ballast of the rocks below. It's also rocky and not level. They were able to do that, as you saw, and you see the picture. They used the plywood. And then the Medical Reserve Corps, we did a just-in-time training video, and they had said, with a few hiccups, they felt comfortable in doing their role after watching that little video. Again, areas for improvement, to get through every exercise. Child tracking. So we set up a child care group so that those having the antemortem interviews can put their children in there. And one of the people operating that function for us came and said, you know, you have the forms for the parents to fill out, but when they sign their name, you can't read it. So how do we know we're getting the right child back to the right parent? And after that, we've established a tracking process. And then reunification. So it worked. What worked in Davis County may not work in all the counties, but it went really well. So we had our family information group established, and it was hospital personnel. So it was their emergency managers and a patient care coordinator. And they were taking the missing persons forms. Each family was assigned a fictitious family member they were looking for with extensive information, and they filled out the forms. The hospitals received a packet of their Jane Doe, John Doe personnel, and then they tried to match them up. The one thing that came out of that is information sharing. The hospital people at the Family Assistance Center, how do they communicate and what type of information can they share between that location and the hospital? And can it be digital, or does it have to all be paper? We've had a lot of successes with doing this project, and if it wasn't for Max with NTSB and the Lance Peterson helping with this, it wouldn't be successful. But we've had it signed by all 4 counties that we operate rail in. We've gotten a grant after the first year. For the first time, UTA has received a grant for Homeland Security to conduct our exercises last year for the next 2, so that was successful. We established a medical examiner team. Like I mentioned, Dr. Gray was there the first year and a representative the second year, along with the funeral home directors, and they conducted the antemortem interviews, made death notifications, and things like that. We have a broad process identified for our reunification steps. It's going to be tailored by each county and the hospitals involved, but we made it work. And then UTA has been deemed, you know, they set standards. So the first year we had the exercise, NTSB and WADA came out and observed, and after that, NTSB, they put us in their presentations as an agency that does it for the better of their agency, not because they're required to. And because of the way we work with our stakeholders, we involve, like the medical examiner involved our agencies, things like that, and then the coordination we have. A lot of the other transit agencies, from WADA, they contract out everything. Amtrak, because they are required to have this, it's all internal. They have teams established regionally, and they completely do everything internally. And then because we've been able to exercise the plan every year. So looking to the future, we're doing this in Utah County in May of this year, and these are the components we want to test again, the new child tracking system we have. Personal belongings, how do we return, can we return the personal belongings to individuals, and how do we do that? Incorporating a larger mental health piece. Patient tracking and information sharing. One thing that's come out every year is that families there want to know which hospital their loved one went to. How do we get them that information? How do we share that information? Can we share that information? Reunification again, and the the antemortem interviews and the family briefings. And then we'll be doing it in Beaver County in 2017. Any questions?
Hi, I'm Joanna Good with Keep on the Wet. You're all here to research stuff. It'd be great for us to sit down and have a little meeting so that we help you on your site. As we sort of, there with all the research therapies and mindful of all the volunteer
of the groups listed that's possible to use. We've only used Red Cross and MRC. But no, it would be great to get together.
Another question to you, say on the tap on, that doesn't record who that person is on the train?
So the question is, the tap on, tap off pass, that doesn't record who that is? No, it doesn't. It's a random set of numbers, and there's no way to link that back to the person with that pass. So, and I know that's been a concern for some individuals, but there is no way to track who's on that train.
To ask you, you had access to, some video as far as what's on the parade, that you could look at the video and get at least a swag as to how many people were on board prior to the event.
So the question is, can we look at real-time video? The platform video footage, yes, I can pull it right now and look at that. Frontrunner only has the front-facing cameras. Those have to be downloaded. It takes a little bit longer. Same with tracks. Again, we can see the platforms. The cameras inside the tracks trains, those that have it, has to be downloaded, so it's not instantaneous.
You will say you average 9 individuals per rider on your family statistics. The average family size, of course, is smaller than this. So what goes into that number?
So the question was the 9-to-1 statistic. How did I get that? It's not just family, it's friends. So it would be family and friends, and that was, I think NTSB gave that statistic. So.
I'd also like to add one thing too. I mean, what we've been talking about here is really preparedness. Preparedness, as you guys know, is prevention. But there are other things that we do at UTA to make sure that these types of incidents, we don't get to the point where we have these types of incidents. So we partner with Operation Lifesaver, which is a rail education organization. A lot of us at UTA volunteer our time. We do OLI presentations. We also volunteer at local schools. High schools are required as part of the driver education to have 1 hour of Operation Lifesaver training, which we all can probably agree on is probably the best time to capture people's attention in their teenage years. And so we use the principles of education, engineering, and enforcement to try and prevent these types of incidents. It's definitely a struggle at times, and certainly we seem to get our fair share of the press, but we do a lot in terms of we're being proactive in terms of trying to prevent these as well.
How do you get involved if you want to be involved with the
How do you get involved in the exercise if you want to be a victim? Contact me. I can give you my contact information. Any other questions?
Thank you.